Yo, it's the dojo life.
Look, I could do this with no radio. Yo.
All right, what's going on, fam? Welcome to Dojo Life with Chong and the Boss. We're back for another installment. It's your boy Chong Ali. The Boss is actually overseas at the moment, so he won't be in studio with us today, but never fear. Joining us in studio today, a couple of very special guests. These guys are legends around the Logan area, the owners of the Fight Center, James Jarvie and Ben Johnston. Thank you so much for dropping into the show tonight, guys.
Thanks for having us, bro.
Happy to be here, bro. Yeah, good to see you.
Yeah, what's been happening? What's been going on? For those who may not know, we should start here. For those who may not know, I might get you to jump in, Jarvie. Give us a bit of an idea of who the Fight Center is and what the Fight Center is all about.
So, like you said, we're based in Logan, bro. We are a combat sports gym. So originally we started just Muay Thai, and then we built from there. Done some boxing, like we've got boxing, MMA, jiu-jitsu, and just sort of keep building out the combat sports. And we just focus on the fight-based training, and that's us, man.
Yeah. And you've recently started branching out into jiu-jitsu and MMA as well, Ben. Like, you've spent some time training with some pretty high-level people. You're building up the MMA team as well. Give us a bit of a backstory on how that sort of started and how that's going.
Yeah, I guess the MMA has probably been going for a bit under a year, I'd say. Everything's a bit of a time warp the last 12 months, to be honest, since it's been hectic. The last 12 months has been hectic. So I'm going to guess a year that we've been doing the MMA. Jiu-jitsu has been around a little bit longer. But, bro, it kind of like started, to be honest, it was when Arena stopped doing their lunch classes. You were there. Now that I think about it, you were there.
We met. Like we had that initial meeting about the thing at the Fight Center, and I was like, "Oh man, come down to Arena. I'm doing the lunch class. I'll come meet you there and we have a chat." So I do remember that was one of the last times I saw you at Arena.
Right. I don't actually remember that now.
Yeah.
But it was because we were doing, like, they had their lunch class every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then COVID hit, and then they stopped doing the lunch jiu-jitsu. And then we were doing secret training.
That's
right.
Yeah,
we were doing secret. We were breaking all the rules.
We were training in the gi.
Yeah, we were training in the gi. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
We were doing that. Actually, you know what I remember? I remember you asking me, bro, do you reckon no gi? Do you reckon if you want to do no gi, that gi, you should train gi or no gi? And I remember being like, gi 100%. Helps with no gi. And I remember being like, of course, training in gi helps with no gi. Anyone who thinks that's an idiot. And then I'm like, now looking back, I'm like, fuck.
I will say, in the gi's defense, I think actually the gi does help you with the defense, like because you can't just like smash out of shit. You sort of just gotta like slowly deconstruct things.
Well, I think it's like it helps in other ways in terms of it's like, if you want to just feel the fear and suffocation, you know, there's nothing replicates like a sweaty gi on your mouth, you know, like borderline waterboarding.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, 100%.
But you know, man, if you're trying, how do you get more sport specific than, you know? Anyway.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah,
but yeah, that started when they stopped doing those classes, and then we were doing the secret training. I was like, oh, we need a place. Let's just start doing jiu-jitsu here, you know. I was just really interested in it and wanted to get it cooking, and just sort of started from there. Had Ikaru doing it for would have been close to a year, and then I took over and started doing that in the MMA all at the same time, and then now and Niki's helping as well, you know. So I guess 2 years of grappling, and then about a year of MMA more specific grappling.
Yeah.
You started getting a bit more invested in your jiu-jitsu. Like, after you won your world title, you were sort of going down the boxing road, and then you did that and started doing the jiu-jitsu way. And then
that's
like,
right.
No, I should just put this all together now.
Yeah, that's kind of, you're right. I was looking at doing the pro boxing, and it was the end goal was kind of unclear, because it's like, it's almost like going through the whole thing with Muay Thai and going from 0 fights to world champion. It's like you've learnt you've learnt too much. You know what the path is supposed to look like. So it's a blessing starting something new, but it's also a bit of a curse because now you're at the beginning. You shouldn't be thinking about the world title. You should be thinking about my next fight. You know, so it's like I'd start and I'm like, okay, well, which promoter should I go with? Who's going to get me towards a world title? I'm like, I haven't even had a single pro fight. I had a couple of M's, but I haven't had a single pro fight. I'm thinking, who's going to get me? Oh, in my head, WBC. I'm like, which promoter is that? And then, well, that promoter is aligned with WBO, and that promoter is aligned with this and that. And then like, you know, when one promoter has you, they kind of feel they have a bit of ownership over you. And I was like, oh man, I don't know. This whole process is starting to become too much, and it's too unclear. I can't see the end from the beginning. I'm like, man, I don't know. This just isn't exciting me right now, you know. And then so while that was happening, just doing a bit of jiu-jitsu just to see what that was like. And then it was like, you know what? Let's have a go at this. And then I went to City Kickboxing I decided, okay, I'm going to do MMA. Going to do it right. Need some good training partners. And, you know, reached out to Eugene and Mike Angove, and they said, you know, basically allowed me to be a part of their team. And I went over and I purple belt and got like hammered. I got bashed by all these like white belts. And I'm like, no, I should be sweet. You know, I know how to box. I know how to kickbox. I'm purple belt in jiu-jitsu, so obviously not terrible. And then I went over and just got bashed and really realized that, you know, there's a big difference between jiu-jitsu and MMA.
Yeah.
And then now, this has been 2 years, almost to like now, it's been about 2 years since I first went over to City Kickboxing. And I really like understand which part of jiu-jitsu works and which part doesn't. I'm not saying I'm perfect at it, but I have a lot more awareness about what not to practice and what to practice, you know. So back then it was like all this inverting and open guard, and it's just things that you just don't see in MMA. And I guess I hadn't paid enough attention. I was a bit naive, you know. And you know, you sort of know, and then you start to realize, like, you know what, there's a lot going on here. So then once I started to sort of figure that out, I was like, shit, man, I could teach this to beginners, you know. We could guide someone through this, you know. And the more I do, I'm like, man, I feel like I could teach the pros, you know, like, because no one studies it. Look, I shouldn't say no one, but that I'm aware of, no one studies it more than I do, you know, in terms of like on the mats, off the mats. Just from when I wake up to when I go to bed, it's something to do with trying to learn this thing. And I feel like that's I don't know, is the word expedited when he makes something happen really quick?
Let me just Google it. I think so, yeah, but I think that's right.
Expedited the process.
Yeah.
You know, it's made it happen a lot faster. When you think about hours doing a sport, you know, someone might show up to a class for an hour a night, and then there's another guy doing 12 hours a day, you know. One year doesn't equal 1 year, you know. So, yeah.
Yeah, because I think, like, just because I have seen the way you train and your methods and your process, and then what I've noticed is that you're very deliberate with what's your, like, training. Like, you set the intentions, like, why am I doing this?
Always.
You know, and then how does it relate to what the overall goal is. So I think, you know, that does expedite things. You know what I mean? You're not just randomly doing bolo for no reason. It's like, well, how is that relevant, you know? It's, in an MMA context.
100%.
For jiu-jitsu, sport jiu-jitsu, fantastic, great. But if the goal is MMA, then you really, you know, I guess you're good at prioritizing what's going to work and what's not going to work.
No, absolutely, bro. It's like, it's the process of like figuring out what the problem is, and then finding what you think, or you get a handful of solutions to what the problem might be. And then, you know, in that handful of solutions, you might come up with 20, but then out of those 20, most of them don't work because they're too specific to wrestling or too specific to jiu-jitsu. You know, maybe some of them even have gi grips, I don't know, or judo or whatever, you know what I mean? So most of them won't work. And then the ones that do work, then you got to go and test them and see if they actually work. And then, you know, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. And then the ones that don't work, you got to figure out, is that my fault or the technique's fault? Like, what's the key ingredient? Is it my partner's fault that when I'm trying to do this, they're giving me the wrong look or the wrong amount of resistance. Are they leaning on this side when they should be leaning on this side? When they lean on that side, I'd use a different move, but he's leaning on that side, and therefore this move isn't working. If I did it on this partner, would it work? There's so much that goes into it, and it's just, it's a tedious technical process, but you when you come up with the complete sort of system, you're very confident in it because you feel like you've got an answer for all those little things that weren't working,
Yeah. And I think like system is like such a key word when it comes to, like building and scaffolding the training. Like, we're sort of even peripherally training. Like Jarvie's, started training jiu-jitsu in my time at TFC, Jarvie started training, and like we were able to sort of watch what you were doing, and we just sort of build from.
Then go and spar every day.
Yeah.
That's right.
Oh, what are they doing? That looks cool. Let's spar. You want to roll?
They're working their back escapes. Let's spar.
We'll just spar, yeah.
but that's the thing,
we'll put
right?
some takedowns in it, so now it's not just stand-up sparring.
True.
It's MMA sparring.
But that's the thing; it's so hard to structure. Like, and that's probably where it gets stuck. You're looking at it, you're like, oh, they're doing a good thing. How do we train that? I'm just guessing from outside looking. It's like too hard. Let's spar, right?
Yeah.
Because you got to like be creative with the ways that you're going to work on the thing, and then hard for you guys. Like, I know you're a bit more advanced, but for Jarvie, he doesn't even know what the problem is half the time. It's just like, oh man, I keep getting my back taken or whatever it is. Oh fuck, let's just spar.
Yeah. Yeah, it's almost like we resort to just playing. It was like, it's just like, play. Let's just play, man.
Yeah, but you get really good doing that, you really do.
Figure it out, and in the process, a little bit, it's like, this keeps happening.
Man, it's important.
What can we work on from here? But,
Yeah. And also, like, I wanted to ask you, Jarvie, like, what your experience was, transitioning from, your Muay Thai career, in boxing as well, and then going deep into like the business end of things and like, like looking after the fight center and then, experimenting with training, like in different methods, different styles, it's the same as what Ben was doing, like getting into jiu-jitsu and then slowly, experimenting with MMA. What was that experience like, just dipping your toes into these different arts?
Yeah. So like the transition, obviously like did the Muay Thai and, had a few fights, and it was always just more for fun, like I was never pursuing a world title like Ben was, and then we started the gym and sort of did that transition, and we got to a point, I mean, at the start, like when we first started, you might correct me if I'm wrong, but it was very much like we were both trying to do both roles, you know what I mean? Like it was...
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I was taking classes, Ben was taking classes. I was doing business stuff, Ben was doing business stuff. Yep. And we were sort of stepping on each other's toes a bit. And it was just like, it got to a point where it was like, let's get our roles, let's just figure out what our roles are here. And Ben, the product, like Ben is the one that's obsessed. Like he said, he will literally study. He'll come in and watch videos. You've seen it, like he'll spend 6 hours training, come in and watch another 6 hours of videos in his day of techniques.
And then go teach.
And then
for
go
another
teach
few hours at night, yeah.
Which you learn so much by teaching as well. It's not just like, you've got to then break it down to people, and that's where you learn as well. So I think that transition was like the best thing that happened for
100%.
TFC, because we could then really just go into our areas, and so for me, it was the business side, and I've loved it, like I really do enjoy it, and the process and the progression and all that sort of stuff in the business. I do wish that I could spend more time training and whatever else, but like when we were training together, like we were training most days, like an hour and a half most days, and transitioning to figuring out the MMA and stuff, and I'm loving it. Like I'm really enjoying it. The jiu-jitsu, the MMA, the wrestling, like that sort of stuff. It's really cool because you just start from new again, and I'm really enjoying the whole process of it. And like we said, we do just spend a lot of time sparring, and that's still the case even without you. But that's because it's fun. Like it's when you would play like soccer or footy or something like that. When you play your practice games, that's when you have the most fun. you do your drills and stuff like that. But I'm not drilling for anything in particular, so it's like might as well have fun with the training and enjoy it.
Yeah, I think what makes the Fight Center or TFC such a like such a positive and fun environment is it starts from you guys because you're always training. You're about it. Like even Jarvie, like the members at night probably might not see you as much, but you're always training. They can see you training all the time, and you're getting across it all: boxing, Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, MMA. Like everybody's doing it. I just wanted to like sort of go back to like when you first opened up the gym. Did you imagine? What was your vision? Like when you opened up, it was just Muay Thai. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just Muay Thai, and then we brought in a trainer to essentially help 1 day a week. Brendo came in
Boxing.
for one day a week for
boxing,
boxing to help sharpen the Muay Thai guys, and then it just kind of grew. 2 days a week, and then 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then it just turned to every night, and then now there's like 2 boxing classes a night every night, and then there's two a morning, and then depending on the day, could be 2 or 3 throughout the day leading up to there might be 5 boxing classes a day, so yeah, it just kind of started as just a Muay Thai gym, but I guess it's kind of as our own interests have expanded, we've brought more in as well. At one point, we had yoga.
I remember that.
Yeah. At one point, we did the yoga studio because I was into yoga. Remember that?
Yeah, your girlfriend at the time was into yoga.
Yeah, that's right. And then, that didn't.
We didn't know enough about yoga, and yoga instructors were a pain to deal with.
They were, right? They were horrible. It'd be like, just go with whatever they felt like at the time. Yoga instructors, no offense, I'm sure there's some good ones.
Yeah.
But the ones that we had were, it would be like, I'm going to move to Cairns. It's like, okay, when? Oh, no, I did yesterday. You're like, what?
You got to teach a class tonight.
Yeah, bro. Your class starts in 10 minutes. Bro, you got a fair few of those of like a text message, 5 minutes before the class. Sorry, I'm not feeling well. Like, class starts in 5 minutes, and then because I'm not going to go up and teach it. What do? You walk upstairs and go, sorry guys, like, I can't help. Like if it was any other thing that we teach here, I could do it. Not my boxing class. Cool, I'll jump in. You could any discipline. It's all good except yoga.
Except the one that you can't teach.
Yeah, and then that was one we had the most dramas. So in the end, we gave it a good crack. That was a bit of fun, man. You know what I mean? Like just having a crack at it, even just from a business perspective, it was a bit of fun. Lost a lot of money.
Probably one of the biggest learning. Like it's from the business side. It's the losses is where you learn, right?
Yeah.
So for us, it's like, man, we learn heaps from running yoga. It's like, don't do something you don't know.
Yeah,
like,
or you're not passionate about.
Yeah, you don't really care. Yeah. It was like, well, we've got a little room upstairs. It's probably a bit small to run some classes.
Bro, that was the one where we chased the money. That was one where we thought that we can make some money out of this. We got some room, and it was the one that bit us. No, I sort of pride myself on not being driven by the financial gain of whatever I do, and that one was, looking back, was a financial driver. So big lesson in that one.
So when it comes to that sort of stuff, right? These decisions, like, I want to start teaching yoga. Like, what's the conversation like between you two?
Don't remember that one now. It's too long ago.
I don't remember that one. I think it was just like, fuck it, let's give it a try. Yeah.
Right,
that's us. That's our relationship. Like ever
Want
since.
to try it? Fuck it.
Yeah. I think the term that the kids are using is "fuck around and find out." That's it now. Like that's always been us, and that's us in our business. That's us even still now, man. Like we're running a multi-million-dollar company, and it's figure it out on the fly. Like we just try to figure it out. Some things work, some things don't, and you just keep going back to the drawing board.
Yeah. So like, what's the conversations like though? Like, let's say for instance when you guys first started out and you're trying to figure out like your roles, like Ben's the product and Jarvie's going to handle the the nuts and bolts behind the scenes. Like, what are those conversations like? How do they happen? Like, is it a deliberate look, man? We got to sit down and have a chat about who's doing what here. Like, is that how you guys operate? Or?
I blanked out halfway through what you were saying, that question. I was too busy because he said run a multi-million-dollar company, and I was like,
Yeah, boy.
So what the fuck? What does that even fucking mean? You know? I was like, yeah. I was like too busy thinking about that. And I'm like looking at
flex.
no, bro.
Yeah.
I was like, what, dude? I'm like, like nodding, listening, like pretending like I'm listening. I'm like, fuck, I don't know what the fuck you just said.
That's how far away from the books he is. He's just he's on the mats all day. Like what,
Bro,
It's
100%.
legit, man. He wouldn't know.
But like, what I wanted to know, I think
Sorry,
it would
bro.
be interesting is like, you know, like when you guys have these conversations, like you guys are like best friends since way back, right?
Yeah.
So these conversations that you have, like for instance, back when you're like, look, I need to be handling this, or you need to be handling that. Like, how does that work? Do you guys have like a deliberate system of like communication, or is it just like an organic thing that you guys have
I think it's
honed?
I think it's organic, man. Yeah, we never really sit down and have a proper business meeting. Now, like, we got Lorena, so Lorena's like our operations manager, and she's
It's a gun, bro.
yeah,
Best thing that
she's
we-
to credit
yeah.
like, a lot of our success, as you know Lorena. So now we have more formal meetings because she's involved
And she can structure them.
She's structuring it. But
Bro, me and Jarvie's meetings is fucking hell. Some topics get covered. No, at the end of it, everything is inconclusive.
yeah, that's right. Oi, we come up with some great ideas, and that's that's why when we got someone like Lorena in place, stuff started to happen. You
Yeah.
know, because we come up with these great ideas.
But you
and
forget them
never-
then as well.
Yeah.
Fuck, what we talk about?
So she's taking notes and then actioning, and she's like, "Oh, I put this together for you." It's like, "Oh, this is awesome!" Like,
But she goes, remember when you said that thing? I was like,
Yeah.
fuck. Could you jog my memory?
Yeah, she'll put down like the name of who's supposed to do it and by when, like the date, like.
The due date. Yeah, but no, to answer your question is like, no, we don't structure our like meetings, and then back, you know, like when the decision was made to be, I'm going to take more of a role in developing the business, and Ben's going to take more of a role in developing the product. That I don't even think really just got talked about. Like it just
kinda
sort of happened. It was like, you know, like we sort of like touched on it, like just in conversation, and then it just sort of happens. And it's like I think we're pretty, we're very lucky in the fact that we got like 100% trust in each other,
big time,
and
bro.
I think both of us in our personality is like, I want what's best for Ben, and Ben wants what's best for me, so it works. You know, it's like I know that he's sort of doing the same, like he's putting my best interest and vice versa. You know, so I think that helps. So we don't really need to talk about like there's never like us questioning each other's choices or decisions and go, yo, we need to talk about this. Like, what's going on? It's just like we just talk normally over dinner or over a couple of beers or whatever it might be, and it's just a chat, and then we sort of get an idea of how each other feels on the topic and take it from there. And
Yeah. So when moving forward with the decisions or the conversations, I guess that you have with each other when it comes to, you know, furthering the business or growing the business, like what kind of uncertainties are out there, like, and how do you handle the uncertainties? Like, do you like rely on each other, or do you call in mentors or friends, or
what did I say? Is it fuck around and find
No, I
out?
was just going to say that. Does I was go fuck it, just have a crack. You know, that's the uncertainty. Oh, better work harder.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know if I'm supposed to say or what, but Jarvie told me yesterday. Should I talk about this?
Right. Yeah.
too late now, man?
So we purchased a property that we're in, right? Jarvie told me yesterday, with these interest rates, we're paying an extra $100,000 a year in interest from when we bought a year ago.
Yeah.
So in a year, it's the price, which like, when he told me, I was like, holy shit. See, this is why I don't want to know the numbers.
Lucky we're a multi-million-dollar business, man.
This is why he sleeps at night, bro.
Yeah. But it's all right. Just leave me on the mats. Don't tell me this shit. You know, but no, like with that sort of stuff, it was just like, fuck, all right, well, better keep hustling. You know, just better keep fucking making sure everything's working and keep your product good and do your, hold up your end. And yeah, at the end of the day, if it fails, it fails. It's not like we're not having a crack, eh? You know what I mean? So yeah.
There's heaps of uncertainty, man. But there always has been, and there always will be. So it's just part of it, bro. You know, like I don't think, you know, there's definitely those moments where you just like, oh, fuck, how we like purchasing that property was scary. You know, like, and I think there's probably a lot more load on me on that whole process, and there was a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of stress, a lot of like in that whole process. That was probably the hardest point of my career, like of it, you know, like of anything that we've done. So there was a lot of uncertainty on that part, but it's like Benny said, it's like you just got to trust the process. If you're putting out the product that you are telling your members that they're going to get, and you know delivering on that, then it's like we've been in business now for 8 years. We know that we can find members to come in. We know we can deliver a good product. We know we've got the system behind it. You just got to trust that you can keep doing it. And it's hard because it's like, I don't know, like I don't really go out and look, but I don't reckon there's many other gyms in Australia. Like I feel like we're probably one of the ones out on our own, you know, doing this. So it's hard to even see like a roadmap. You're trying to figure shit out, and it's like, does this work on this scale? You know, like it was just last week we hit 1,000 members, bro. So
Let's go! Congratulations, man. That's huge.
Yeah.
That's a huge milestone for a gym that deals in predominantly just combat sports.
Yeah,
like it's not a fitness first. You're not in there lifting weights.
No, that's right.
It's people on the mats, bodies on the floor. You know.
To your point as well, it's like the ones that are bigger, they're kind of not our model either.
that's right.
It's like you look at someone who, you know, like Evolve or whatever. It's like it's not our model. It's not who you want to be. We want to be our own thing. So it is hard to like see what other people are doing and then try and copy it somewhat. It's easy in fighting, you know. Well, I shouldn't say easy, but it's easier because there's just so many examples. And then when you're looking at grappling, they even tell you how they did it. You pay $300 or get an illegal link, and you know you got the blueprint for what they did. But man, it's not like that, eh? You know, with trying to run a business.
And there's lots you can get from just business in general, you know. And we had a business coach. Which made a massive help in the start. We don't have a coach at the moment. So I'm sure there's points where that would be beneficial as well, you know, but we're out trying to figure it out. And lots of decisions, just like I said, get made between me, Ben, Lorena's, you know, there as well. And she's really good to be. She's got a lot of business knowledge, so we bounce stuff off with her. And I think we just at a point where we're like, we'll just figure it out. If this, like, I think a big thing is with the uncertainty is like flagging when shit's going wrong and catching it before it's like, oh man, just keep going this path and it's not working. It's like, oh, if it's not working, let's have a look and change and go again.
So you guys started at Watland Street,
Yep.
then you outgrew that place, moved into Slacks Creek, outgrew that place, and then now you're in Meadowbrook. Like, what was what was the point of where you guys were like, you know, at Slacks Creek on at the old place? What was the point of where you guys were like, oh, do you think we need to grow, like move to a bigger place?
Bro, I don't think it was the numbers. I think it was dramas with landlords. Eh?
Oh, really?
That was the big push for me personally. And then obviously it kind of coincided with not enough mat space. You're like, fuck, there's just where do you do everything? You know, we're just literally running out of room. But like, just not knowing when the council's going to come knocking about car parks, or when you know, your landlord just decided, because obviously we were in a shared, whatever you want to call it, lot. And it, you know, luckily everyone else's business closed at whatever time, but the car parks, bro, you remember, it was a fucking nightmare. Like, just always complaints, and you're like trying to keep the peace and whatever, and then someone's blowing up at someone out there. You're like, go out to your members, like, why are you blowing up at him? You're parked in front of his roller door. And then you're like, oh man, shit, this is not what we need right now. And, you know, so like that was like, it's funny because you think, oh, if we had our own place, it would just be way easier, you know? And then you get your own place and realize that it's just different headaches, you know. Yeah. It's just way different headaches. So the problem's always going to be there, right? You know. But no, for me that was a big thing of just having security, and it's our spot. We can do what we want. We can, if we want, we can knock a wall down. We can hang this there, do this there, whatever, and then just ample room, you know. So what do you reckon that was like 2 years ago? Yeah. Oh no, more than that now. 3.
That we started the process.
Yeah, because we've been in here for a year almost.
It was 2020. Because it was around the COVID time that, you know, we sort of just come out of COVID, and remember we started looking, and banks were just like, "What are you fucking talking about?
Yeah,
let's get out of here." We're like, what? Come on, guys. And
That's why
like,
I went to that mortgage guy, remember?
Yeah.
And he like sat down and was like, "Why do you want to do this?
Yeah.
Like, you can't afford this." Oh, we just stayed at it, eh? It was like,
Yeah. And it all worked out. Like, it always does. You know, like, things always work out, you know, like, whatever thing you want to believe. But, you know, there's things happen for a reason. We come, like, so close to a property. It was on the Pacific Highway, a block of land, and we were going to build there. And, like, we sat down to sign the contract with them. And then, like, we went over the terms and whatever else the day before. So the next day, it was like, okay, we'll meet you at your office that day. And the guys who we were going to buy it off hit us up and said, "No, we're not selling it." Cheers. And we were so dirty, man. Oh, bro, I was so upset. I was so angry. And to these guys' credit, like, they're old developers, and they, you know, like, and they'd been around the block, and they sat down with us and said, "You can't do it." Like, they pretty much saved us, you know, like, literally. Like,
looking back, yeah.
They're just like, "Nah, you have problems you got no idea about. You can't even think about what problems you got ahead of you. Like, nah, we're not going to sell it to you." We're like, no, we could do it. They're like, "Nah, sorry, man, we're not selling it to you." So, why would they do that to us?
It was a weird relationship we had with them, because they were like, go, you know, let's go have lunch, let's go have coffee, you know, whatever. They come down, and they're old boys, like, you know, I'd have to say late 70s, a couple of them, and then the son, you know. So you'd sit down and it'd be like, you know, they're sitting there having a coffee and just talking about life in general. And it was just such a different way of doing things to what we're used to. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, I guess we'll just go with the process. Like, and fucking thank fuck we did. Because they, like, by the end of the whole process, which took months, they, I guess, felt somewhat responsible for us, you know, because we must have met them half a dozen times at least. Like Jarvie said, it's like, nah, you just can't do it. Fuck.
But, you know, in hindsight, looking back, they were right.
Yeah,
that if we went with that actual purchase and went to build, and the whole process that was behind that, the block was a funny block, so you had to, like, build your building up, and, like, there was a lot of things. There was part of the block had flood zoning and whatever else, you couldn't build on it, and so we're like, that's cool, that's our car park. And then Logan City Council don't let you put car parks in flood zones either. So you know, there was lots of things. There was lots and lots of things wrong with that block, and those guys knew it.
But we chose to ignore it, bro.
we were just, man.
No, we'll make it happen. We'll fuck around.
Yeah, I was literally, we were talking about it just before, and like, I used to drive past that block, like, it's still vacant, you know. So to their credit,
they missed out on a lot of money offloading it, you know, because there's still no one on it, you know.
But yeah, I'd drive past that and be like, oh, man, because I'd still, like, it's right on the highway, you know, like,
it was cool.
However many 100,000 cars would see it a day driving past, it was like, oh, this is so cool, you know. And I'd be like, drive past and, damn, I wish we got that. Now I drive past it and be like, oh man, I'm so glad that didn't happen. I was so happy that didn't end up going through.
Yeah. We went through, like, we've gone through, you know, like, a lot of the, I guess, the uncertainties and, like, the painful stuff, right? But what about the stuff that's, like, rewarding? You know, like, what about the stuff that's satisfying? You know, moving into this new U-Butte facility, over 600 square meters, building that's yours, you own. Like, what are the things that bring you the most sort of satisfaction?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It sounds really corny, but like I get extremely excited when you've taught someone something and then you see him do it. That's the first thing I thought of is like you just showed them the double leg, for instance, and then they're sparring on that Wednesday and they hit the double leg and you're like, you're looking around and like I'll hit the kid and like, see that? You see that? You know, and he'll do the same. Like, that to me is like, and that happens all the time, you know. So it's very, very rewarding. That was the first thing that popped into my mind, to be honest. But you know, just other things like it is cool seeing you got a full staff room, you know. And everyone, you like everyone, you know. So and then you'll get to hang out, and you know, and then you know, there's guys that are trying to make a career out of fighting, and you can give them a bit of an avenue to make money around their training schedules, because who else wants to give someone a job where they're, you know, going to cut weight every couple of weeks and miss out on a Friday and, you know, have a weird chunk in the middle of their day where they got to train and start late or finish late or whatever, you know what I mean? So having that there to support those guys so they can go and chase that, and then seeing them actually go and chase it and succeed in that thing, and you're like, oh man, I feel I have a piece of responsibility in making that happen, and that's a big one for me, you know. And then you know, seeing them be grateful for it too. It's like, oh man, awesome, you know. So
Yeah, it's a really cool system actually. The way that, like, for say a fighter that's pursuing a fight career, having somewhere to go that has, you know, like very deliberate chunks of time that are blocked out for work, that allows that time to train.
Yeah.
Like I haven't been to that many places, but for me, that was the first time I saw it. I'm like, that's a really clever system. That I think it's a win-win for both, you know, the fighter who's working at, you know, the fight center, as well as the fight center as well.
Yeah, it's always been a big it's always been a big thing for us with the staff. You know, is we're trying to get these guys, and we're trying to make it work for them. You know, we're trying to build their career, because, like Ben said, it's a hard. Maybe you didn't say it, but maybe I was just thinking it. But it's a hard sport, you know, and you got to sacrifice so much, and if you don't have the guys that support you, because it makes it even harder. So there's no one else really doing it. Like, people who made a living off combat sports normally is the gym owner, and even that, like, half the time they're fucking barely making a living, you know. So we're coming in and trying to build a gym that's creating jobs for people to live off, you know, whilst they're building their fight career. It's it's always been like something that we want to do. So these guys, because even the fighters, you know what it's like in the Australian fight scenes, the prize money, people think they're making millions of dollars like the fucking UFC or whatever. It's like, even they're not making millions of dollars, most of them. But you know, there's no money in it, you know. So you got to try and make it as manageable for them to pursue that career.
I remember like getting the rude shock when we first were 18, very naive, you know, going to these fight shows and seeing guys at a main event on the show and thinking that they were well off from fighting, you know, and then being the main event and being like,
I'm poor.
like, oh, these guys were earning nothing, you know. Yeah, it was a shock of just finding out that there's just no in Muay Thai especially, there's just no money. I think that's pretty well across all of them, unless you're at the top of the top, you're not earning. That doesn't mean the dream isn't any less rewarding because you're not getting paid big dollars. It doesn't matter, you know. It's still a cool thing to do, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. So why not? You know, if they want to do it, we try and help, you know.
And I think there's also so much benefit as well outside of a financial, gain, I guess. Just as far as, like, you know, the confidence and the discipline and all that's instilled in, you know, the person who's pursuing the career in fighting. But I wanted to just go back a little bit because I wanted to get Jarvie's sort of thoughts on this. You know, you mentioned earlier, you flexed earlier, that there's a couple of things you flexed on.
Noticed that?
But with the, you know, like, you've hit this massive milestone, 1,000 members, you know, through the doors at TFC. that's got to be pretty satisfying for you, right? Like, because being, you know, right inside the nuts and bolts and all, dealing with all the numbers. Is that something that brought you like a lot of satisfaction, just watching that number tick over?
Yeah, it been the last probably 20 members was, everyone was on the edge of their seat, and then we get some cancellations and then go back down, and then we get some sign-ups. And so yeah, that was exciting. It's one of those ones. It's like you think it's going to be more of a thing for you than it is. You do it, you're like, awesome. Like I have the moments where I'll walk out and see the gym packed. There's like 60 people on the floor or something like that, all training in combat sports and doing something like this. And they're the moments that really are like, fuck, we created this, hey, and we created this, and there was nothing like it. And there's some gyms that are doing big things like this now as well. But when we like originally going way back, when we first started TFC back when Iron Fist shut down and whatever else, and Iron Fist, for those who don't know it, back then was a shed on Dan's dad's property, on Alan Bell's property, So that's what most of the gyms were, back then. And Dan shut down Iron Fist and we started at TFC. And everyone, our accountant that we were using at the time was like, why do you want to do it? Like, use the Sparky, you're earning good money. Like, why do you want to start a gym? You're never going to make money.
Yeah,
You're never going to make
Yeah,
money. You're never going to make a living off it. Like, what are you doing it for? Fuck around and find out.
What's that accountant's number? Let's call him.
Yeah, no, seriously, it was like, bro, it was just such uncharted.
It was basically said you won't make a living off it.
Yeah.
That was a big thing. It was like, you won't make a living, it'll just be a hobby, It's like, oh, and I remember as soon as the conversation ended, we just sort of looked at each other like, it's a bit rude, eh? Like, oh, fucking hell, I'd like to not be a Sparky and do this,
In his defense, like, we were friends with him as well, and in his defense, he was trying to help us out because that was just his genuine thought was, you're not going to make a living off it. Like, don't waste your time. It's going to be a big commitment of time. But that was everyone, everyone just thought it was like.
And at the time, that was the case. That was the truth. That was the majority of.
Absolutely.
So,
and that was the case for the first 3 years or more. Like
more,
the whole time at Walton Street, we never paid ourselves a single cent. We were still both working as Sparkies. I was working full time. You were working part time, and I was doing on call and stuff as well. Like, it was hard. Like, lucky I was young then, so you could back it up and whatever else. But there's lots of times where I'd be staying back late at work or whatever, and I'll have to ring Ben and be like, sorry, man, can you cover the class I'm doing, or can you cover the desk, or whatever it is, because, man, I'm stuck on this job, or I've got to call out or whatever, because you got to try to, you can't be a shit employee, otherwise you're going to lose your job, and then we're not making enough to live off, so what do? I'm going to have to just, shut it down or whatever, so you trying to juggle it all was hard back then, but we got through it, and it was when we moved to Slacks Creek, we decided that's when we're going to quit our job, and that's when everything really started.
No, it was after that, pretty sure.
Yeah, it was after that. Yeah,
it would have been 4 years in. Would have been 4 years in that we stopped working.
It was when we went to PNG.
Yeah, 2018.
It was when I my last day at Fireball was the day before I flew out for PNG.
True.
Yeah. And that was a wild time.
Wait, no, when was that? No, that wasn't 2018. That was anyway.
Who cares? See, this is why when I said Sinead is like, are you guys going to prepare for this?
Yeah,
that's what she's talking about. It's like, get some timelines. Remember this, because she knows we've got bad memories. But
terrible.
Anyway, we didn't. We
that info's
fucked around and found out.
What was it like when you guys were just like, you know what, we could probably do this. Like, we could probably quit our jobs and do this.
Don't remember.
It was still there was still so much doubt. Like it was when we did it. I definitely wasn't sure, and there was lots of times where I'd be like, "Fuck, I should just go back to Fireball."
Yeah,
I should just go back to being a Sparky, and that was so much easier and whatever else. There was so many times, and you know.
Bro, we were driving here. Our office was just around the corner. So funny. Where we used to work was just down the road at Archerfield or whatever, on the other side of the airport. And I was driving, and I'm like, oh man, this brings back old memories, driving to the office. And as I was thinking that, I felt like this knot that I didn't know was in my stomach just let go. I'm like, oh man, and I put myself back in my van when I was an employee, and I just imagined that, and then my stomach just like let go. I'm like, shit, I didn't even know I was stressed. And I just put myself in that. I was like, boom, that was an easier time. So I just like, he just cruised like, oh, just see if there's any jobs on, rock up the office, see if there's any work going, and see what they want me to do. And if not, I guess I'll kick around and, man, that was just so much easier than now, I'm not complaining, I way rather my life now than back then. But yeah, it was just so funny, man. It was a simple time being on the tools, clock in, clock out, go to training, leave the phone in the car. Like, no, I wasn't that bad. Like, if they want to get a hold of me, they would. But that was kind of the mentality, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's not anymore. You know?
Yeah, you there's a big responsibility now. I guess I think it's coming up to 9 months at the new joint.
That's right.
At Meadowbrook. Like, after the move, after that, 1,000 members, all that sort of stuff. Like, what's the plan moving forward? What do you guys envision for the Fight Center moving forward?
Bro, just build fighters, eh? That to me, that's the thing. Just keep investing in time and energy into building people and getting them to where they want to be. It's pretty exciting. You look around the mat to see the talent on the floor, and even guys that haven't fought yet. It's a weird thing to say, like, but you're looking around being like, man, there's some kids in here, right? Like, there's some guys that are going to be good if they just keep at it. And that's and seeing, like, when you see how committed some of these people are, and they have never had a single fight. And as you know, man, the more you get into it, the deeper in, oftentimes the more invested you get. It's like your first fight, train a couple of days a week. Second fight, train a few more. Third, until it's a full-time gig just about, So seeing these guys at where they're at, and then some haven't even had a single fight, and like, fuck yeah, man, that's exciting. And then there's people that haven't walked through the doors yet. Like, man, this is cool. Now that standard's there from the people that are trying to do it, that haven't even done it yet, haven't had a single one, and they're training this much, other people come in, they want to do it, and they see those guys putting in that much. So, this guy hasn't even had a fight, and he's here 3-4 hours a night. Damn, is that what it takes? And then it's not my job anymore. Where are you? What are you doing? You're supposed to be here. You told me you want to fight. Where are you? Hey man, all good. They're all doing it. They're all doing it themselves. Set the standard amongst themselves. So, to me, that the next piece is just seeing these guys progress and taking them to where they want to be, and help them, guide them through the journey the best I can.
Yeah, there's definitely some good talent coming through. I think it's also because the what you guys put forward at fight shows, the way the fighters perform, the way they carry themselves, it kind of attracts that sort of fighter, the very scientific-minded or sportsman-like or athlete to the gym. What was the process like, if we sort of go back? What was the process like with, the whole CKB thing, going and training with, some of the best in the world, and then being able to come back and and sort of pass on that knowledge or pass on that information?
What specifically? Which part?
So, like, I guess from an outsider's point of view, when you were going over and doing these sessions at CKB, there was a bit of a buzz. There was a bit of a hype. Oh, damn, Ben's over there training with Izzy, doing this and that. But obviously we were pretty tight-lipped, And then I guess when it was all out there, and then there's that great scene of Izzy coming up and just like being so great, gracious with you, and appreciative of your time, and like there's a lot of mutual respect there, So I guess there's a certain, I guess, confidence, I guess, that comes with that, and you can feel it through the gym. Do you know what I mean? Just knowing that it's almost like the gym got the rub, almost. You know what I mean? Like,
For sure.
but just knowing that you have, trained at that level now. We all knew, but now it's like, bro, it's proof is in the pudding now for sure.
Yeah.
How does that feel coming back into the gym? And have you noticed a change? Have you noticed a difference?
Yeah, I think you're right. Like, obviously, I was overseas, so I didn't know about. I didn't experience the buzz you were talking about. But I definitely noticed that I guess it seems more achievable. You know what I mean, for these guys? It's like, especially I'm coming home and going, man, these guys are just like us. They're just regular guys. They just work their guts out. And I was able, which was really cool. I was able to take a few of the guys over. Few of the guys that are sort of like leading the charge and putting in the work. I was able to take them with me and take them to CKB. And not everyone gets to do that. You can't just show up. I mean, you probably could, but you're going to be at the bottom of the heap. You know what I mean? So, being able to bring them in and give them that bit of experience and give them that like feel of, what it's like to be in that world-class facility was, I can't thank Eugene enough. And then the rest of the team for taking the guys in and looking after them it was a real big buzz for me to be able to pay that forward. But yeah, coming home and, just seeing people fired up is very cool for sure. Just, I felt lucky with the whole experience, that he chose me. When you think there's in that gym, there's a lot of guys that fit the bill for a 6'4" striker. There's Carlos Ulberg, there's Cameron Rouston, there's how many kickboxers do you want to pick from in that gym? There's heaps of guys that strictly do kickboxing. Davor Matarujic, I hope I said that right. Like there's heaps of them. There's good guys in that gym, but I just felt lucky that I'm not sure whose decision, whether it was Israel's or Eugene's decision to bring me on and make me sort of like the main training partner for the whole thing. I was like, man, how good is that? Like, so yeah, no, man, I was just felt lucky, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah. And Jarvie, like, just as as a fan watching your best mate mix it up with like the best in the world, man. Well, that must have been pretty exciting for you.
Oh man, it was awesome, bro. And it makes you more of a fan as well, like that fight. Man, I was screaming at the TV. It was like Ben was fighting, because man, I was so invested in him winning, and the way he won and the whole fight. It was just so cool, man. It was really cool. And even just speaking to Ben, like when he was over in the camp and whatever else, and just hearing what they're doing and the whole, like, even though I wasn't in that process, just hearing it from him and like in a bit more detail than probably what he'd probably be talking to most people about, that was a really cool experience even for me, man. And like we went over to the UFC in Perth. Me and Benny got us in with the backstage, like the after party and stuff with all those boys there, with Volk and Izzy and all those guys.
We're on stage with Volk partying, bro. Like, I was rotten drunk. I don't remember a single thing. So it's like that free. Oh, we had an open bar, dude, bro. Yeah. And then just it all went blank, and I woke up the next day like, what happened?
Dude, that's the most hilarious thing. Is like you just get to party with like someone like the top fighters in the world. Don't remember it,
bro. I saw a video of me dancing on stage. Sunny's on like this. I'm like, oh man, that's bad. And you wake up with the fear, like, oh no,
what did I do?
I hope I didn't say anything to anyone. And then I got the call up to go help Izzy. I'm like, oh sweet,
I said all the right things.
Mustn't have been too bad.
I didn't fuck it up completely, obviously. Yeah.
No, that's cool. There's some really cool, I think, insights that you'll get in a room like that, in a room like CKB, that I guess you'd have to really earn just to even get in that room and to be able to mix it up with people of that caliber. And then the next thing after that is to even just to pass that culture on to, the fighters in your gym. I think it does really set a precedent of like sharing knowledge and, like trying to help each other, legitimately trying to make each other better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A lot of people do say that, but, you know, I think it's very evident in the way, you know, I've been on the mats at the Fight Center, you know, multiple times, a lot, heaps. And there is a culture there of like, oh no, like, I want you to be better, you know?
Bro, it's funny you say that actually, because that was a big piece, and I'd kind of forgotten about it. It's like their culture they have over there is just, you know, like it'll be a Saturday night at, 6, 7 p.m. and there's 30 people show up to help someone train for their fight, you know, and that is every single weekend. You know, it's like, man, this is commitment. This is commitment, like a team commitment. And our guys are good. They look out for each other. But that was like, all right, there is more that they could give here. And if they really want to do it, then they'll step up. You know, and like you said, bringing that back and just having a standard of what a fight team should look like at the highest level was a very valuable experience. You know.
I think it's like you've always had a massive work ethic in training and fighting, and for a little bit there, it was you sort of just come to the fact that people aren't going to work like you, and then you go over there and you see it's like, oh no, there is heaps of people that work as hard as me. It's like, hey guys, get on fucking board.
Yeah, because that's what you'd always said. It's like, no, man, you can't expect that from everyone. I'm like, they're not fucking training hard enough. And Jarvie's like, bro, no one's going to train as hard as you. I'm like, yeah, well, they have to. Like, how else is it going to work? You know, not that, you know, there are guys that train hard in the gym for sure.
Yep.
But I mean, just like collectively, you know.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I think now you don't take their excuses as much, you know. Like since being over there and doing the training at CKB, I think the TFC fight team is training a lot harder because it's like, fuck, do it, you know. Like you just got to do it.
Yeah, that's it. That was good, right? Yeah, because they don't accept excuses over there, you know. Not that I have too many, you know, but not just in general from everyone to everyone. Like you see someone go, oh, what are you, a part timer? Are you? You know, someone will come rocking up on a Thursday. They weren't there one night on a Wednesday night. Thursday morning, they're oh, you part time? You know, like they're giving each other shit. I'm like, yeah, that's the attitude you need to have. Like, hold each other accountable, so it's not coming from the top. You know.
Yeah. I think that sort of culture is so healthy in a gym. You know what I mean? Like that's probably one of the only places you could do that, and it's beneficial. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's almost needed. You know, because everybody wants to be the fighter, and everybody wants the teammates to show up for you, but it's like, who wants to be the best teammate? Who's going to put the hand up? You know what I mean? So,
I think that was like just talking about that culture. It's like that's one of the only places. That was one thing that we really struggled with. I think when we first started getting staff was like, how do you manage staff? Because we were used to them being in that sort of like environment, you know. And then, like, well, I think we've got a good balance. Like we've got a really good team of staff now that you don't need to ride them or whatever else. But and there's a good balance between it's like it's not an office, you know. You can talk to each other a bit more real and a bit more open. But yeah, like at the start, it was like, oh fuck, I think that was probably a bit like, are we gonna get in trouble for saying that? Like, can you talk to people like that? Oh fuck, I don't know. But yeah, we've got good balance. But yeah, you've got.
Now we say whatever we want.
it's legit 100% safe space. Like I've punched you in the face. There's nothing I can say to you that's gonna be worse than that.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. Look, thank you guys so much for your time tonight, man. Congratulations on everything, man. It's been a wild ride. Just sort of, you know, being a part of it for a little bit, man. It was like one of the best experiences I've had. And now just watching you guys go from strength to strength, man, it's really cool to watch, man. So, is there anything that you guys wanted to, you know, Mark? Is there any fighters that you want to shout out that's gonna be coming up soon? Or
bro.
There's too many fights.
There's too many.
Yeah.
The guys.
Ben's got a fight coming up 1st of July down the Gold Coast.
Eternal. Yeah, we're on. That'll be a good one.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So we can go find all of the fight details from muaythaibrisbane.com.au. Check out, is it AU?
.com.
Or is it just .com?
No, AU, yeah.
No, AU.
No.
No AU. Just .com.
MuayThaiBrisbane.com.
Yeah.
I should really know that.
That's actually someone else.
Brother,
That's actually
didn't you run that website? Weren't you the guy who was editing that website for us?
Lucky Shen's not here, right? Yeah.
Bro.
He goes, if he's still there, fire him now immediately.
Is it .com or .au? You're in charge of that thing.
Better yet, check him out on Instagram.
Do you know what this is good because now people will remember.
Yeah. Don't
Or is
put-
it one of those things? It's like, is the I before or the E or after? I don't know. Yeah.
Check him out on Instagram at The Fight Center, and check him out on Fight Center Brisbane. And check him out on Facebook, James Jarvie, Ben Johnson. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you guys for tuning in for another episode of DojoLifeBrisbane.com. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Yo, it's the Dojo Life.
Look, I could do this with no radio, yo.